to you is more on the... Hello, good morning. So today I'm going to give you a video discussion regarding the overview of operating system. So what is an operating system? So operating system, I also have defined this in the module I uploaded in your Google Classroom, that operating system is an intermediary between a computer user and a hardware. So I have write it here, it's still the same. It is an interface between the user and the hardware. So as we go through with this discussion, we will discuss what is an interface. What does an interface do with the user and the computer, and then what is the functionality or the common functionality of an operating system. So, but first we have to define what is a software, since operating system is an example of a software. So, what is a software? So, software is actually a set. I hope makita ra ninyo, no? A set of tested program and documentation. So as I would say, software is a tested program plus documentation, since if you're going to use different kind of softwares, you have to use it in a way according to its function. So there are two types of software. We have the system software and the application software. So operating system belongs to the system software. So let's say we have application software, and then we also have system software. Now, what are the example of a system software? So example of system software are, we have Office or Microsoft Office. So what are the example of what are the content of Microsoft Office? So we have Word, Excel, EPT, etc. So what does an application software do or does? It is actually it functions according to a specific task. Let's say, for example, if you're going to make a Word, or if you're going to make documents of some sort, you're gonna use the Word. If you're going to use some calculations or needs computations that you need to input formula, you can use Excel. When you need a specific presentation, you can do it through the PPT. So basically, an application software, it actually do a specific task. Now, what are the system software? A system software is it actually operates the computer hardware. It tells, or it it helps, or it converts what the user wants to do with that certain hardware, and it provides application software a platform for it to run in the system. It provides platform for application to run, so it actually helps the application software to perform those specific tasks. So let's say, for example, when saying that, let's say, for example, here. Now, the system software, this is the user. Software will input or whatever he wants to do, the user wants to do with application software. Now, the system software, or we call it our OS, will help translate, or will help do the functions or will allocates processes for the computer hardware on what he or what that specific computer hardwares want to do. So mo na siya. So from the user, the application software, and then the system software will help do the specific task sa hardware. Let's say for example, the user will ask to write a word in the Microsoft Word. Now, after doing it, the system software you would like to print, or you would like to display that in the monitor, the system software will allocate a certain program or a certain functions for it to be related, or for it to be relayed in the computer hardware. So that's basically what the system or the OS do when it comes to the user, and then when it comes to the functions with the application software. And that is actually, let's say for example, the user also will the user and then the hardware, since I already give a definition that the hardware or the system software or the OS, specifically the OS, will operate the hardware through the command of the user. So let's say we have the user, and then we have the hardware. Now, how are we going to do this? So let's say for example, what are the example of the hardware? So we have CPU, I/O devices. So what are the example of I/O devices? Or we also add this memory. So what are the I/O devices? So I/O devices, we call it, maybe it's mouse, keyboard. I don't know if you can read it, but anyway, this is it. Keyboard, printer. Those are example of I/O devices. So without the medium, or without the interface, without the intermediary of the OS, are you sure that the command of the user can interpret the hardware right away? So we need an interpreter, or we need an interface, which is the OS, in order for the command, or in order for the instruction of the users while using the computer will translate into the hardware. So let's say for example, if you're going to so this cannot easily be accessed by the user without the OS. So let's say for example, a simple example, like you have a fan at your house, and then when you want to turn on the fan, or when you need to start the fan, you need to use the switch, right? So if the switch is there with the cover and everything, that switches will represent as our OS, or the one who will interface between the user, the switch, and then the light, or whatever it is, whatever electronics devices you're going. So that switch will deliberately give enough current, or enough interface for that fan or for that light to function. Although actually user can directly turn on the fan or the light, but however, di ba naman yung mga wires, negative, positive, but it's really complicates the process, and at the same time it actually takes a lot of time. So that's what the OS comes along. So when you say the OS will simplify, it will simplify, not only simplify, but it will also allocate a certain enough amount of current for it to function. So there are also example that let's say so what is really an interface? going back, the real life examples of the switch, which is again a switch, or we so called as operating system. It can actually makes it easy, or it's easier for us to access. It helps us convert, or it helps us translate what we need to do, or what functions we need to expect from that certain devices. So when we say an operating system helps, or a system software, particularly an operating system, helps operates a computer hardware. So when we say that help is considered to be the interface. So when we say interface, it actually help us to access particularly devices that needs a set of programs which an OS, which an operating system can actually help you, or which only an operating system can read, or can perform. So another example. So let's say, for example, a user. No, user wants to program, wants to, using a Turbo C++, wants to print, or wants to have a result or output of hello world, like that. So we say print f, let's say hello. If I'm going to let the monitor display this word, let's say monitor or display, are you sure that the user can directly work on it through the monitor or the hardware? It's not, right? Because in the middle, we're going to, the OS will write a certain, let's say, will write a certain program for the hardware to understand. Because this is from our end, this is the user, but the OS will translate it in order that machine can understand what this is all about, right? So only this code that you were enabled, or only this code that you can get your output, so that the hardware will perform. So when you say print hello, it will be converted to a language that only computer or hardware can understand, and only the OS can perform. So he will convert that into a source code, or a code that will perform the output that you want from the hello. Okay? And we also have there are also some basic functionality of the OS. So there are, I think, five functionality of OS. The first one is the resource manager. First one is, we have the resource manager. So when we say resource, these are the resources that you have in your computer, in your system. So we have the CPU, the I/O devices, again, input output devices. So we have mouse, printer, camera, or anything that you connect, any devices that being interconnected in your computer, any devices na nakakonect sa imong system or sa imong computer. And then we also have memory, and memory, CPU, I/O devices, and memory. Now, the OS manages these resources. So let's say, for example, OS allocate these resources to different process or user if two or more processes that the user wants to access the CPU, and allocate for how long, or so that it will be managed. So, for example, if you're going to check your computer, if you're going to check your laptop or your computer, and then you do the Control Alt Delete, di ba na anay mo gawas nga task manager. It is also one of the functions of the operating system to allocate those resources. Let's say for example, if you're going to check the task manager, di ba? Sa task manager, as far as I can remember, there are some of the processes that the CPU or the CPU will allocate pila ka percent ang ilahang allocate ana. Let's say you are working on you're watching or you're using Google, muhatag na siya 2% of his allocation, of that resource allocations. And then we also have I/O devices, we have printer, nihatag na siya og 20% na allocation. So, the responsible for this is the OS. He manages the resources that you have in your system. Okay? Now, the second one is the processor management. We have the processor management. So OS is also responsible for the allocations of the processes inside your system. So let's say for example, this particularly runs on the RAM. You know what's RAM? RAM is the random access memory, and also this is what we call the main memory. The main memory. So let's say for example, now you're working on your laptop and then you want to open YouTube. At the same time, you want to open Word, and at the same time, you want to open presentation or PPT. At the same time, you want to open several applications within your computer. So the one who allocates or the one who helps you open those at the same time is the operating system. So it manages the processor inside your system. So let's say for example, it actually, the memory of this, let's say for example, when we say this is RAM, it manages the RAM. RAM again is the main memory. So let's say for example, we're gonna write a certain very short program. Say hello C. So this is the natural language. This is our language, natural language. This can be understood by a human being. However, if you're going to convert this into a certain language that the computer can understand, the C will usually be an object. This becomes an object which the computer can understand. Now, if you're going to run this, we have to allocate, the operating system will allocate the RAM for it to run, right? Now, RAM is actually it is a temporary storage wherein, di ba sometimes, when your computer and your desktop is not working properly or it becomes so slow, that is because the RAM or the processor, the RAM of your system, of your computer is not enough, the memory is not enough, because especially when you're opening a lot of it, kung maglinya na gali na tanan, sometimes your computer will actually hang or will load because you are opening quite a lot of application at the same time. Now, the one who manages those applications are the OS. So that's the processor management. And then we also have the storage management. Now, before going to storage management, let me give you one example for the processor management when it comes to a practical example. So, let's say for example, naamoy tulog ka computer at home or tulog ka computer in the laboratory. So, let's say naay tulog ka computer. Tulog ka computer. So, this is the user. Printer 1, computer 1, computer 2, computer 3. And this is being connected to one printer. This is printer. Now, do you think if the computer 1, the user of computer 1, computer 2, computer 3, if they print at the same time, do you think the printer can manage to print it at the same time too? No, right? So that is where the processor management comes in. So that is where an operating system comes in. It also helps the RAM manages which memory he will allocate, asa ani i-allocate niya, so that the printer can do it from time to time, one at a time, not at the same time. Okay? So here comes the storage, because when you say RAM and storage is actually the same because they're both memory. However, storage management is, this talks about, when we say RAM is the main memory, storage is the secondary memory. So what we call secondary memory. So this is what we call disk. Atong hard disk, atong mga before it's floppy disk, we have flash drive, and so many other storage. So this is a storage management. This is where you store your data, your documents, or whatever data you have permanently. Whereas the RAM, this is temporary. The storage management, the disk, the flash drive, and so many other things. This RAM, you can find it in the diba, you can find it in the motherboard kanang murag nag-line up. Whereas the storage management are the disk, the hard disk kanang nakagsak-sak sa likod at the back of your CPU, the flash drive, and so many other permanently storage devices. So this is where you save, or this is where you store your data permanently. So this is also part of the function of the OS, because they will handle the directory of those files. So let's say for example, the storage management, di ba naaman tayo mga drive C, drive D. So those are the directory, and then the function, and then it handles by the operating system, because that operating system will actually allocate if where to save your documents. Although the user have the kanang the prerogative or where to save your data. However, the one who manages those data are the OS. So this is in a form of directory. So again, there are mo nang i-allocate nimo properly your data in the computer. So naatay drive D, naatay drive C, and then we also have directory, subdirectories. Mag-save ta dito ato ang files and so many other files atong i-plaster tanan. So the one who is responsible for those functions are our operating system. So si Windows, si Linux, or whatever operating system you have, or Android, or whatever operating system you have in your system. So that is number 3, a storage management. Now, other examples or other functionality of OS is the security and protection. I think that we only have 4. Process management, wait a minute, and then we also have the last one is we have 4. I only have the security. We have the security and protection. So what is this about? So the security and protection. So when you say security and protection, if your system is protected by a password, and then you are tasked to open to open the system or to open your computer using a correct password. Now, if it is goes through, the OS will allow you, if you input a correct, if the password is matched with the one that you set or preset password, the operating system allows you to use the computer. So if it is doesn't matches, it will signals, or it will give a function, it will perform a certain task that you entered the wrong password. So the one who is responsible for that is the OS. The one who do that is who perform the task is the operating system. Now, the functionality of security as one of the functionality of the OS is actually, it gives authorization, it gives a proper authorizations to whoever you want or to whoever authorized to use the computer, diba? We also have, diba, we can set type of users in your computer. We have admin, we have user 1, user 2, user 3, and each users will have maybe an options to put a password. So the one who allows, or the one who kept those password, or the one who makes sure that it matches the password for you to be able to access the computer is the operating system. Now, what is the operating system when it comes to the processes, the level of processes? So in the main memory, we call it RAM. In the main memory, natay gitawag ana nga mga, when it comes to security, when it comes to processes, natay gitawag ana nga P1, we have P2, we have P3. Now, if your computer is only have one processor, it cannot run many processes at the same time. It will only accept one process at the same time. So that it will not be swapping, dili siya magka-swapping, it has to be, kani siya si P1 will finish whatever task he is doing, and then the next one is P2. Not unless your program, or not unless your system is multiprocessor, which can run processes at the same time. Once you call it as processor at the same time. So, I think I only have 4. So I hope you can read this, you can understand this. So hopefully you understand what the main functionality of an operating system. I hope I was able to give it to you. Although this is really a quite actually it's easy to understand, as long as you will focus that an operating system is the one who will help and who will operate your computer hardware, and then it also gives a platform for your application software to run. So meaning it is actually the heart of the computer. So when we say hardware, kung sa tao pa, those are the body, pero the soul, the one who makes certain functions of our body, is the software. So basically maora gyud na siya. So again, if you have any questions or clarifications, please don't hesitate to ask me. I may be quite busy because we have accreditations coming, but as much as possible, I will answer to all your queries as long as you will let me know, and if you come any questions across. Thank you, and I hope to see you soon, and then good luck with everything that you are doing right now. Goodbye.